All right, welcome everyone to the Digital Dish. I am Kathy Hackle, one of the co-hosts. I am the Hispanic marketing evangelist for Boom Social, so I work with Kim Garst. And I also do my own consulting, and I speak at several, I speak about live videos, started to speak about Snapchat. I love social media. And I'm joined here by my co-host, Lisa Beyer, and I'll let you introduce yourself, and then I'll introduce our amazing guest that I'm super pumped about. So.
I'm Lisa Beyer. I'm the author of Social PR Secrets. I also do consulting, and I teach a social media management class at UF. And I'm super excited to talk about Pinterest today.
I know. I'm super excited to have the amazing Kim Vidge from Educator Spin on. Woohoo! And Kim, I actually met Kim by chance because of Mommy Friends. Because we're small world because we both live in Gainesville, Florida.
No way! You're in Gainesville too.
Go
okay.
Yeah, right. I can't really do my full-blown chomp here, but go Gators.
Can we please meet at Burrito Brothers for lunch sometime when I come up?
We should go talk Pinterest. And Kim is a Pinterest powerhouse. She doesn't talk about it that much, but she is a Pinterest powerhouse. She's got an amazing following. She is one of those people that brands go to, that people consult with to learn how to use Pinterest. She is fantastic. She's an educator as well. And she has an upcoming book that's you can pre-order on Amazon right now. So Kim is just fantastic. Kim, if you want to kind of introduce yourself,
Sure.
If I forgot anything, because you're fantastic.
Because there's like multiple hats I love to wear. I am Kim Vidge. I blog at the Educator Spin on it. It's a site for parents and teachers, which inspired our Pinterest boards. And honestly, even our book, we tested a lot of stuff for our upcoming book, which is called 100 Fun and Easy Learning Games for Kids. So if you do peek at our boards, it is all kids and parenting, but I do consult with lots of brands behind the scenes. After we built our account up to, we're almost at 1.6 million right now followers. A lot of people say, how do you do that? And I kind of got that teacher bug back again after teaching kindergarten for so many years. And now I teach people about Pinterest. So it's pretty fun.
Awesome. Yeah, I looked at your Pinterest account and profile. I'm like, whoa, this is awesome. You have to spill all the Pinterest PR secrets that we can take back and you're willing to share with us.
Sure. And I think we're all learning every day. Like literally, I think Pinterest is learning as well. Like it's becoming this whole other thing many years later. So it's pretty cool to see it grow and change.
And Kim knows Peg Fitzpatrick because Lisa knows Peg too.
Oh yeah. I interviewed her for my class at UF, and I was going to say maybe we can talk later, and I can do an interview with you for my class for the fall. I'm already planning fall. Even though we just got done with finals, I'm like, I don't want to talk about class or anything like that. I'm like, exhale.
Yeah. Kim is very knowledgeable about Pinterest, and I have to be honest, I am not I'm one of those moms that's not necessarily on Pinterest because all my mommy friends are like Pinterest obsessed. I don't really play there that much, but I know the value of what an amazing platform it is for driving traffic, for sales, for everything marketing. So so maybe we can start talking a little bit about, Kim, where is the platform at right now? Because there's been a lot of changes. I saw that the lead designer of Xbox.
I saw that today. I'm like, that's crazy. So they are acquiring many, many talented programmers. And I'll say I'm not as geeky as I'd like to be to know that kind of data. But anytime you want to know what's the most latest article published about Pinterest, Kelly Lieberman and I host PinChat. So if you ever look up the hashtag PinChat, we have been reading every article possible to share with you guys to really find out. I think where they are right now is really working quite a bit on making it a platform that's a visual catalog for brands. And with the introduction of viable pins, now you can purchase items that you see within Pinterest, and they added the little scope so that in a pin, if you happen to go, ooh, that's a really cool light, you can now, highlight it and it'll pull up similar items that relate to that, which I think is huge. And I think if bloggers are smart, they're going to start pinning things that relate into their sites and work off into affiliate programs and that kind of stuff to help monetize what they do. Because if they're like me, I started many years ago, I didn't have a product that I was marketing. It really was ideas that I was marketing, which in retrospect, I wish it was different with that many followers, but you grow and change and you learn. And I think a lot of brands now are realizing they wish they would have started a couple years ago building that platform. And so that's what I'm seeing a lot now in the conferences I speak at is we're not there, but we know we need to be there. Let's get on there. What is our plan? And so with the introduction of promoted pins, which was last year, a lot of brands are starting to now really test those out. They're available to anyone if you have a business account on Pinterest. They have their own team that works with the more money players in the world. I'm not one of them. So I just want to say, like, wherever your budget is with your marketing plan, there is something available for you to be able to play the game on Pinterest.
I have a question for you, or kind of an observation. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. So it seems like, I mean, with Facebook, it's obviously, you know, organic is dead, but with Pinterest, I really feel like organic is still a huge opportunity. And what are your thoughts on that? How long will it last?
You know, because the platform is built on search, your pins will always be searchable. It's, did you get the keywords proper so that when they type in whatever, it's showing up? And now they're scanning your images as well. So when I type in, you know, I can't think of a word right now, did your image get ranked for that keyword as well? So I think those are really important. And a lot of us will tell you things that perform well are probably things I pinned 3 years ago, 2 years ago. It's eternal. It keeps going on and on. So I think that's why it's really worth spending time and getting those really, really quality images and spending time getting those pins out there regularly, consistently, daily. And there's schedules to do that with. But if you're playing over there, you don't necessarily have to spend advertising dollars there. Now, if you want to get there faster, that's definitely, you know, the route to go. Some of the words I've heard, though, is that a pin that's already done well will do far better when you promote it. So you almost have to play a little bit even before you want to jump into that advertising game, which I think is important to know, especially if you're brand new trying to figure it all out. My gut is figure it all out and then start putting some money into promoting things.
What are some tips that you can give us on optimizing in the key? You had mentioned keywords, and I know how important that is. And I think that's one thing that is easy to skip over because it's like, oh, we pinned that, or somebody's already pinning that. But how can you take it to the next level and really bridge the two?
You know, I like to tell people your Pinterest account should work very much like your website does in terms of the words that you want to be known for. Frankly, because Pinterest has such a clout to it in search, you might show up first on Pinterest before you show up on your own website on those words. So I think it's really important. And the places to figure out those words and where they go, first thing is your bio. You tell them right off the bat what you're all about with those keywords, very much in conversation style. But still have those in there. The second place is your board titles. Pinterest kind of tells you how they search for things if you just look at their categories. And now with their interest tabs at the very top, you kind of already know how they're sorting and classifying their data. So play with those words and see which one has more popularity simply by using their search bar and searching what shows up first. The things in the first few rows, those are the most popular. So you kind of have to play with those words and see if you can jump in with that gang, or do you need to go a little bit lower and build a platform there first and then build it up, just like you would with a website. The next place would be your board description. That's a key place, making sure that you describe every board that you create and also categorize it. A lot of people have missed that. Whenever I go back into accounts and they ask me to fix things up again and optimize them, they didn't ever categorize a board. And the problem is if you ever create a board on the go on your mobile phone, it actually doesn't give you the option to categorize it. So a lot of us just on the go, we're quickly creating boards and didn't realize we kind of skipped that portion. And my little tip is maybe play in a couple categories. You never know what might help you show up quicker than the other, because we're education. I have kids and parenting and I have family, but then I play a little bit with other words like, you know, recipes and technology, because those are things that you do with kids too. So those are important. So you've got your board title, your board description, and then your key descriptions on your pins. Keeping it conversation style still, avoiding hashtags. They really don't perform well.
That's so hard. Like my mentality is like hashtag right there, you know?
I think we're losing Kim.
Hold on. Kim, I think we're losing your connection.
All right. Don't no?
Looks like it's coming back.
Okay.
A little bit.
Why don't you come out and then come back in or refresh?
That should work.
Yeah, because we can see you, but it's pixelated. So
Okay.
Oh,
there. Oh,
okay. Well, she's back in. That's good.
Yeah, what she was saying though, Kathy, I see so many brands not putting any descriptions on the boards at all.
Wow.
And so, I mean, it just, to me, it's like, okay, then if you're going to do Pinterest, there's a huge opportunity because so many brands are just kind of doing things on the fly. Oh, we'll make this board, but then it's just the title and not the description, and optimization is lost. Here she
and
is.
They're losing an opportunity. I mean, that's prime real estate, you know? So
Definitely.
Sorry about that.
There you are.
I'm all hardwired and everything, so I'm not sure what happened. My apologies. Can you hear me?
Yep.
We can hear you, and it happens with Blab. There'll be technical
Yeah.
difficulties. I mean, we've had to jump in.
It's not you. It's not you.
It's always me though. If you guys find always on live, it drops. I hate it. I don't remember where I was other than
Well, you were just giving us the tips on the optimization and hashtags, right?
The hashtag.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm like Pinterest themselves in a couple presentations.
Just say no.
Just say
no to hashtags. Okay.
Yeah. So don't use them, but your description should definitely have some of those words that you're hoping to be able to show up for in search. And, you know, again, using Pinterest search bar and kind of doing some research yourself, you can figure out what are more popular terms that are already being used on their platform.
And how often should people pin? And like, what tools do you use to do your pins?
Right.
Like, that's one of my biggest questions.
Well, I think it's everyone's question, right? If we all knew the answer, we'd do really well. I don't think there's a solid everyone can do this kind of answer. I think it depends on the industry you're in, the content that you're sharing. Almost like in Twitter too, like some things just don't always get, sometimes you're like batting the head over the head, like it's just too much. But I want to say who did a really great article. I'll have to remember it and I'll share it in the blog later. For me, I recommend at least being there daily, at least getting 10 pins on your account. Like if that's the minimum you do, let's get you there. There are some bloggers and brands that have far more than that. It works for some and it doesn't work for others. So like I can't give you that definite answer. I tend to go on kind of sprees of content. So one day you might see a lot more than others, but if I find myself kind of over discovering things, I just start to schedule them out or throw them onto a secret board so I can pin throughout the week and not basically spam my followers with, you know, maybe they're really not planning a unicorn birthday party and don't really care about that stuff. You know, like sometimes it might be of interest to you, but not necessarily to them. And that's a great tip for balancing personal and your business in one account. I have a whole bunch of secret accounts or boards that I use for me, but no one else sees them. And I often do a lot of pre-planning for campaigns on there, or if I work with a brand on Pinterest, we actually have everything already laid out on that secret board before it ever starts so that I can see where they're coming from and they can see where I'm coming from. And I think that's a great tip if you ever are working with a brand or co-partnering with somebody on a board for a specific campaign, which is a great tip. I will say that, working with influencers on Pinterest.
Are there certain size pictures or types of images or visuals that work better than others? Like what are some do's and don'ts with actual visuals?
Mm-hmm. Definitely you're going to want to go for the long vertical pin on your account. Mm-hmm. If you notice, Pinterest themselves don't even have that on their blog and it drives me crazy. Why? Because it shows up better on mobile and most of the users are using their phone to use Pinterest. It's really just owning that marketing space. You know, there was kind of a standard size of 700 by 1,000. It's actually gotten a little bit slightly altered recently, so you can go a little smaller than that. I think it's 1 by 3 by 8 is the recent ratio they released to some of their business partners. I wish I had articles ready to share with you guys. I didn't do that, so my apologies.
Can you use Canva like for the Pinterest?
Yeah, I'm like Canva has a preset.
Oh, fantastic.
Pinterest layout, actually multiple layouts. They were actually our guest last week on PinChat. So,
oh, wow.
Some tips there. But yeah, Canva, I think is one of my, if you have a blog that doesn't necessarily have visual content naturally into it, that's my go-to spot that I send clients. They have graphics. They're $1. You play with them with their a few little text overlays and it looks like a professional did it, if that's not in your budget for the time, to hire a graphic designer for your business. And I'll have to say, I think Pinterest kind of made it possible where if you're a one-man show in the business that you do, it's a great place to be able to create visual content and market it out there without having to spend a lot of money.
I'm a Canva addict. I totally I've been hooked since day one, and I sign it to my class and I recommend it to all my clients. It gives you the power to be creative and visual, even if you don't have the talent.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I do use, because I do my own photos, I do use PicMonkey too, because there are times I have to edit out some things that I didn't necessarily plan to be there in the photo. And that's not my background. I'm not talented. I probably, if I took the time in Photoshop, a typical editor could be able to work with. I just haven't taken the time to do that. So I can get away with what I do with PicMonkey and Canva. And there's a few others out there too. And honestly, even some of those great apps that you can edit your Instagram photos with work well into creating now pinnable images, because you can pin from Instagram. That's pretty cool. If you're a more active user, you can start throwing people to your Instagram account through Pinterest.
I like that.
Yeah. I know other tools, schedulers, if here I'm telling you to be there every single day and pinning all times of the day, and that's one thing. Keep in mind, time zones vary, so know where your readers are and know when they'd most likely be looking at the computer. Although they say their smart feed, throws things a little bit in terms of it's not always live pinning in front of you. I definitely say, why not, if you can already put stuff out there at that time. So Tailwind is one of my favorites to use for scheduling. It comes with analytics as well. Pinterest for Business has its own analytics, but I love the analytics that they provide. And they're now working on Instagram as well. So you can kind of do both of those platforms. There's a few more.
Tailwind does Instagram now?
They do.
Ooh, yeah. That's great.
And they integrate with their Google Analytics too. So it's just overall a great analytic tool. And then we've got Board Booster, which is not using Pinterest API, but it is available to you, and Viral Tag, and there's a couple other, Curate, Picora. So there's different tools, I think, based on the budget that you have too. So that's important to know. But definitely scheduling it out. You can create a whole marketing campaign for your season by scheduling something out, and then you have time to do more of search, because I think the most successful accounts aren't all about them. It's about the concept that they believe they're experts in. So you kind of have to, be that voice of whatever particular topic your business is about. Hey, got a little one coming by.
It's okay. We're moms. We're all good. And Nava did have a question. She said, do the amount of people who pinned your pin make it better in search?
Yeah, your repins will help you show up better in search. Yeah, definitely. And one little tip, sometimes I don't even, when I search and I look what's being pinned from my website, if someone else has pinned something from my site and it's doing really well, I'll pin that for them. It's already got that good viral, movement to it. So I want to continue it to go. Yeah.
One of the things that I noticed, Kim, is that brands that, let's say, they don't have the resources to create a Pinterest account and manage a Pinterest profile. One of the things that, we tell them is, look, if your Pinterest strategy is anything, just make sure your website is as optimized for Pinterest as possible to let the users do the work for you. So what are some tips speaking to that? So what can brands do if they don't have time to actually manage a Pinterest account? What can they do?
I'll say that the most successful thing you can do is have people pinning for you for free. Like, then you're not spending any energy there, right? To optimize your site, I think graphics are everything. Having that pin so they don't have to forget what they just read, or a project they just saw, or a product they just saw, having those calls to action, whether it's, I have, a plugin, Social Warfare is a great plugin to use on your site. If you don't necessarily always have pinnable size images on your site, you can actually upload an image directly to that platform, and then your users will be able to use that. So that's pretty cool. Even just telling people you're on Pinterest. So making sure, along with all your social icons, that's there. You can embed a board either, anywhere on your site directly from Pinterest code.
I love that.
Some people, like to have it on their right sidebar. I put mine at the bottom of posts in topics that I don't necessarily feel I'm an expert in writing about on my site, but know that my community is probably interested in it. So I think that's important too, is I can create a huge amount of content on a Pinterest board that I know I'll probably never write about, but I'm attracting readers that way. So I might write one every once in a while, but then pull them in, through those pins. So I think that's important to know. I'm trying to think what else you can do on your site. Having your images, those long vertical is an option. One of the toy companies I write for, Melissa and Doug, I love Xena.
Oh, I love them.
I love Melissa and Doug.
Xena from Let's Lasso the Moon. She came up with Like It, Pin It. It's just a simple call to action on the post. It's sitting at the bottom of the articles, but I feel like it's a total, just a reminder, don't forget this, pin it for me. So some sort of verbiage that is that call to action, that take this and pin it. We don't want you to forget about this great idea. I've seen brands, create a board that's inspired by this line, and that kind of stuff I think is an idea too. Because you're wanting them to make them take it over there to Pinterest and even create a board. I think the best, compliment is if someone creates a board based off of your brand's name. Then it's kind of like they know you're an avid fan, and that's great, because that means if that's all they're doing is putting your content there, when somebody types your name, you'll show up, and then all their boards will follow up underneath.
So is there a Kim Vidge board? Like, do people have Kim Vidge boards?
I'm sure that no one has them. I have my own.
For that. I bet they do.
Create
for your professional. I keep all my work samples there on a board labeled after me.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's kind of a visual resume that I can share with brands if they'd like to know what my work looks like. And the other thing is, people might not remember your website. If maybe you're a blogger, mine gets a little mangled. It's the educator spin on it, but because on Twitter I'm educator spin, it gets cut off. So I have a board, and I definitely recommend everyone have a board labeled after your business name or blog's name. Again, you're just trying to show up and search quicker.
And what brands are you seeing that are rocking it? I mean, I always love hearing about what brands.
I know you asked that question, and I wish I would have had more hours to search and search and search.
Well, what are your favorites? Maybe what are some of your favorites?
Yeah. I will say I just spent some time out at Social Media Marketing World, and I was there with Tori, who manages the Grommets account. I love watching how they're able to integrate what they do on their website and testing products, and then which ones get promoted. Yeah. So definitely, she not only has her own blog, but then works that account. So that would be one I would highly recommend looking at. Target always inspires me with their boards. At Christmas time, I love seeing they were using some of the cinematic pins that Pinterest creates with a marketing team. It's all, when you've got the bigger budgets, you can do cool things. They rocked it. I really enjoyed looking at what they were doing.
I love Starbucks.
I was like, you've got the coffee brands.
Yeah.
But there's even, there's universities who are doing well now. I know that was one of the questions too, is there's so many different ways now that we can create a presence online without necessarily managing a website. And that's what you can use Pinterest for if you're not a site that's going to always create content over and over again. You can be inspiring them with building that community through your boards. And none, of course, are popping into my mind right now. I will keep thinking. But, Pottery Barn and those kind of things for kids, I love watching how they integrate their brand, but then they put in, again, they're an expert in childhood. They're an expert in, kids play. And so you should be able to definitely, when you open accounts, see you, but you need to be the voice of that thing you're most passionate about too at the same time. So it's important to integrate.
What I love about Pinterest, and I interviewed the social media strategist for BuzzFeed for my class, and he shared with us that Pinterest is the #2 source of traffic to BuzzFeed.
Huge for them.
Wow.
Yes, #2. So as far as just using it for storytelling and gaining, pulling people from Pinterest to your website or your blog, it could be huge. It is huge. It is huge.
Another person I'd look at is Asher Collier, manages the Pinterest account for Constant Contact. I've known her for a couple of years now, again, met at Social Media Marketing World, and the ability to take business content and make it visual and inviting and have people going there all the time is huge. So I would say, if this is the field you're in, is PR and marketing, that would be one of the boards I would look at. She's always putting great content there. And in such a fun way, like she's got some funny boards and a quote board and that kind of stuff too, to show how you can show your brand's personality also. So I think that's pretty cool to be able to see that.
the feedback I get from my clients being in the PR world when we're recommending Pinterest and creating boards is, they struggle with sharing content from other boards because they want to only share their own content. We're like, okay, that's really not the best strategy. So what do you say to that? What's your answer to that?
It's a hard question, right? Because we're there, we want to market our brand and not talk about anybody else. But
how do you decide who else to pin?
I look at it as if you read something and you go, I should have written that. Your community wishes they could read that. So those are kind of the ones that you have to go, am I going to write it now that they wrote? Probably not, and then that's the things you pin. Definitely if they're hitting target areas that are totally different from yours, but in the same kind of niche, I think that's something that you can do. There's ways to play with brands. If you find there's a brand that you're retweeting a lot, then that's probably somebody you could have pinnable content from, or maybe you're sharing their posts a lot on Facebook. Like if you've already comfortably felt like in other social platforms that you could do that, that's probably who you're pinning from. It is that catch-22 though. It is a hard balance. I think you have to pin on a certain topic a lot to be seen as an expert, to show up and search on that category. And it can't all be from you. That is one thing that Pinterest does kind of track. Things that come from your own URL don't do as well as when you pin from someone else's URL at times. Like not all the time, but I can definitely tell in looking at our account when I've talked too much about me and not enough about other people. So for our account, I get to talk about me, and then I talk about 3 other people, and then I go back to me. So it's kind of that.
I like that ratio.
80-20 ratio, but it sounds more manageable when you do it that way. I think there's a recent article that came out from Pinterest themselves about advertising and using that, and they actually upped that the opposite way. So 3 you and 1 the other. So I think there's a playing field that you definitely need to do, but it can't honestly be all about you. If you really want to highlight you though, then create one board that's a personality board that can be all fun and quotes and pretty, and that has nothing to really do with your content, but might be drawing in someone else's eye. I mean, like that's the whole point of those boards, is to find someone new that might not know about your brand and business and bring them in. So maybe it's something geographic specific to your area that, I'm helping someone with an account. It's a luxury linen account in Italy. You can only talk so much about luxury linen.
Yes.
So now I'm starting to, do things about Italy and floral decorations within the house. Like obviously, if you're willing to purchase that Highline thing, you really are going to be that luxury travel. You are going to be more into floral design and that kind of stuff. So there are always little things that you could pull in. And again, that's where I spend a whole lot of time searching, and then I schedule that over time, and then I spend more time on me and marketing the brand. So there's ways. You just have to look and see what common words come up as you search on Pinterest that you could relate to.
That's awesome. And we're running out of time. We probably have only a couple minutes left. I did want to ask you, Kim, for example, because, we had the new branded content policy with Facebook update and everything that's going on. When it comes to Pinterest, like, do influencers need to disclose that they're pinning for a brand? Yeah. I think from a PR perspective, PR people need to know.
You definitely need to. Like, Pinterest follows the same exact guidelines on any other social platform, although they don't call themselves a social platform. You need to disclose if you're pinning something based on content. Like for me, I'm hired by brands to create a post about whatever product, and I'm using ad is usually what I use a lot, just AD. I don't put the hashtag in because I don't want to get that for, or I might use the word sponsored by, but you do need to be using them. And unfortunately, I don't see people using them as much as they are. And I think the more Pinterest starts to promote all these promoted pins, the more they're going to be more conscious about if someone's not using them, because obviously they would much rather be doing that campaign with you. So using them, yeah.
I have 2 quick questions. Do we have time? 2 quick questions.
No, we have time. Okay. Why don't we do, Lisa? Let's do your 2 quick questions, and then we'll take a question from the audience, and then we'll call it a day.
Sounds good. Okay. 1 is, what's your opinion on group boards? Yes or no? And 2 is, do you have any tips on doing, like, can we figure out what the competitors are doing, or what's really popular by the competitors, so that on Pinterest,
Mhm.
so that we could do something
So
like that?
we'll start with group boards. I say yes to group boards. That's how we grew our account, by partnering with people I already knew my community would most likely be wanting, to be interested in. The nice part is analytics now tell you who your followers already are following to kind of potentially work with. I think you have to be very strategic and purposeful with the people you choose to pin with. I see these massive group boards and the rules are listed in the board description. That's probably not the ideal board for you. First of all, they're taking away prime retail for keywords and saying, you can only pin one time a day, or, like, why would you want that to show up in search, right? So the thing is, you have to find another place to be able to communicate with them, whether it's a Facebook group or email thread or Google Doc that you can contact them. And they need to be almost personal connections. You should know who you're pinning alongside. Chances are you should have been pinning their content already, and that's how you realize we're in the same kind of pocket together. Because I think they make the best mastermind groups, in all honesty. That's kind of how we've treated ours. We found a couple key topics that we really wanted to be known for, and then started seeing people who wrote about those, and we invited them to the board to be with us. And that's, the board went from 30 to 60, and now it's at 130,000 followers in 2 years. So it rapidly grew because we realized those people were our content and we wanted to share about it. So they can work, but I would say definitely find groups that are of similar style to you. We all have different pinning styles, and you want to love the board when you open it up and be inspired by it, because you want your community to also be inspired by it. And if you ever join a group board, always make sure to tell your community you did, because they won't naturally automatically start following, even if they've clicked follow all. If it's someone else's group board, they won't see it. So you kind of have to be more vocal. Maybe it's in a newsletter. Hey, we're partnering with so-and-so, or tweeting it out or sharing it. And cross-platform sharing about Pinterest, I think, is key too. Your newsletter can really help you build up your Pinterest really quickly. You just kind of talk about what's popular over there, because we already know it's a pretty popular platform with a lot of people, 100 million users. Which 50% is from other countries. I thought that was interesting.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's really interesting data.
Second question. You'll have to say it again, Lisa. I'm totally.
Oh, just to do competitive research using Pinterest. How do we see what's working for our competitors? Is there a way?
There's kind of a roundabout way. In your analytics, if you go over into interest and your boards and select that, it will tell you all the people that your followers follow. So it's kind of like that pocket you fall into. I think you should know who they all are and start really looking at their boards. I would probably start first, though, looking to see what's being pinned from their websites. As we talked about earlier, that's actually more important. What's being pinned from your site. And you can find that by Pinterest/source/ and then your URL, and then it'll tell you what people are pinning from you. If people are not pinning from your website, you will not grow that much on Pinterest. Unfortunately,
what is it?
Pinterest/source/ and then your URL. You want them to be your advocates and share your product or your brand or your business or your blog. That's where I've seen the most success. So that's where I'm tracking and seeing what are getting better click-through rates on their images, and then somehow can I do that with my own spin on it is what I would recommend.
Thank you. Okay, so I guess Kathy will do the questions.
Yeah, if anyone wants to jump in with a question. I know that Maria made a comment. Nava made some comments as well. Cindy, if anyone has like a question,
ask away.
Well, Nava said, "Is it important? That your business verifies your account?" Yes,
you definitely should have a business account and have it verified, and have print-rich pins installed on your website. Those are must-haves for that pinnable content, and why it's sharing more text within the platform that will help you show it better in search. And also, there's a little Pinterest recently, I think about 3 months ago, on mobile, it started showing up follow so-and-so underneath a pin, which, why would you not want Pinterest to tell people to follow you? That's awesome, right?
Right.
So I am seeing some people seeing some jumps in followers because of that little choice they made a choice of. So.
Is it tough to get verified? Is it like as cryptic as Twitter? Like where you just know? You just don't
No,
know.
it's pretty easy. And in fact, that's of all sources, that's my favorite source is to go to Pinterest's business page and look at all their sources. They've got some great guides and videos to watch. Like go to them and get a lot of information. They're not very, I don't know how do I say it nicely. They don't share as much as I wish they would about all the things that they're creating for users. So go over there and don't be afraid to look and see what they're creating for people. I hope they share more.
Do you feel like the rich pins, like for example, places pins for companies that, let's say, do travel, how do you see those working, or do you have experience with those?
I thought it was a cool feature, but I haven't seen it being hugely used by a lot of people. We've got a place board pin. That's right. I haven't seen it.
Like, it's just not used as much as
there's
an opportunity there because companies don't really realize it.
Yeah, and then I've noticed in the past few months they added at the bottom geographic locations to your pins too. So I'm like, I know they're playing around with it, so I'll be watching it closely to see it. I think it has a huge potential for local businesses, because if you're really trying to stand out in a local community, that's I think where it's going to be the biggest impact.
I see.
But if you're in the tourism industry, definitely I would at least have one board that I'm using that on just to test it. Why not? It's free.
Okay, here's a question. What's the best way to drive traffic to your Pinterest from other social media, especially for small businesses like bed and breakfast or bakeries?
Mm-hmm. As I mentioned in your newsletter, maybe letting them know, maybe there's a certain board you're going to focus on for the season. For me, we have boards broken up into seasons. Hey, I'm starting to build up my summer board for activities for kids. Make sure you're following along. I use like my most popular one. I think using those kind of buzzwords. I do tweet out pins. I think that's a great, every once in a while, not all of them. It's more when I know it's going to be a good one to grab attention. That pin it for later is a good call to action term that you could use. Google Plus is a place I do always use that. Letting people know, please pin it for me. I think it depends on your Facebook account. I have some friends that do really well on their Facebook account using pin it and then colon and the URL. Look at Toddler Approved. Christina does a great job. She's at 1 million followers. I think she hit that on Facebook. And she's sharing 2 URLs every single time on her account.
Wow.
So I can't help but not notice that. But other people have said it kind of knocked things down for them. So, but if you're not a huge account, it wouldn't hurt to try, right? Like, you're not going to kill yourself doing that. So I definitely would try kind of promoting those pins, especially if you're trying new, like you haven't been doing it, or if you see things getting kind of standstill and plateauing. That I think that's a great way to build a little bit of buzz in there, especially with summer coming up. There's a lot of topics that you can highlight on your boards, from recipes to activities to travel. Dream with your community a little bit and ask them to get inspired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nava had one last question. How will the recent purchase of URX change Pinterest?
I have no idea.
I don't even.
Again, I wish I was more geeky and I could put my head around that stuff. I honestly haven't read that much about what, people are predicting. I wish I could answer that better. I'm sorry. Next time.
We'll see what happens then.
Next time, right? Next time.
Yeah.
No, we're definitely going to have round 2 as well.
Yes.
Please. I could talk about Pinterest forever.
That's awesome.
And I will say Wednesday nights, like you guys are always more than welcome to come.
I'll be there. I'm going to add that to my list for sure.
Yeah. And we have a lot of students actually that come too, Lisa. A couple college professors send their students to us and they ask away. Yeah, it's pretty fun to see when someone.
I'm going to check, but I think you might actually be on the list because one of my projects is a Twitter chat and they get to pick the one that they want to do. So maybe hopefully those are my students, but if not, next time for sure.
I know one's a big Texas group that joins us, but yeah.
That's awesome.
Anyway. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Kim.
Well, thank you for joining us.
I mean, I was so pumped. I told Lisa, I've got the perfect guest. She's fantastic. So,
what a fun day to celebrate your birthday, Kathy. So happy birthday.
Yes.
Woo-hoo.
Yes, Kathy.
Very awesome.
You guys.
So we'll see what happens.
I'm like, baby day.
Hear the news tomorrow.
Baby tomorrow. So
many things to celebrate. Yeah. So yes, we'll definitely have to do a round 2 of this and meet us back next week for the digital dish, and we'll announce our topic in the next couple of days.
Awesome. Sounds great. Thank you guys so much.
Bye. Thanks everybody for joining us.
Thank you so much for everyone for joining us. And Kim, thank you. Lisa, thank you. And we'll see you guys on the dish. So
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.